Imagine this. A massive luxury cruise ship filled with over 1,000 American tourists suddenly changes course mid-voyage. No storm, no engine failure. Just a shocking new fee from China that would have cost the company more than $1 million for one single stop in Shanghai. Overnight, the ship reroutes to South Korea. Now, that might sound like a small detour, but it's not. It's a snapshot of something much bigger. A new and escalating trade conflict at sea. A quiet war, not with missiles or armies, but with cargo ships, container routes, and port fees. Today, we're diving into how the US-China shipping dispute has reached new waters, and how a single policy change is rippling through trade routes, prices, and jobs. Before we go further, if you enjoy deep dive explainers that connect geopolitics and economics, please take a second to like this video and share it. It helps more people discover stories like this. For decades, global trade relied on one simple truth. The oceans connect everyone. From your phone to your car, from the coffee you drink to the clothes you wear, it all moves by sea. But lately, those oceans have become a chessboard for power plays between Washington and Beijing. This latest clash began in October 2025, when China rolled out a new port fee targeting ships with American ties. A direct counterpunch to Washington's ongoing Section 301 investigation, a U.S. trade law revived as an economic weapon. Section 301, part of the 1974 Trade Act, lets the U.S. impose tariffs or restrictions on countries it deems unfair traders. It gained renewed life under Donald Trump, whose administration used it to slap tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars in Chinese goods. By 2024, some tariffs reached as high as 125%. A short-lived truce came and went, but by late 2025, tensions reignited, this time focused on China's maritime strength. The U.S. began tightening scrutiny on Chinese vessels, blacklisting subsidiaries, demanding extra paperwork, and restricting access to U.S. materials. The aim was clear: choke China's shipping and shipbuilding advantage. Beijing's answer came fast: a sweeping retaliatory port fee. China's new rule hit American-linked ships with a charge starting at $56 per ton, rising annually until 2028. For large cruise ships or tankers, that could exceed $1 million per visit. And it wasn't limited to U.S.-flagged ships. It included any vessel with U.S. ownership, management, or even American board members. The first high-profile victim was the cruise ship Riviera. Operated by a U.S. company, it was set to dock in Shanghai that October. But when the new fee took effect, the cost soared to $1.6 million for a single stop. The company canceled the port call and diverted to Busan, South Korea. Over 1,200 passengers were left stunned, and the incident made headlines worldwide. That story became the face of a deeper crisis. Cargo ships couldn't change plans so easily. Container routes depend on precise scheduling and logistics. When two U.S.-flagged Maersk ships canceled their stops in Ningbo and offloaded instead in South Korea, the ripple effects were enormous. Goods had to be rerouted by land into China, causing delays, extra costs, and disrupted supply chains. And those added costs? They don't vanish. They move down the chain, from exporters to importers, and eventually to consumers. Americans would soon feel it in rising prices. But not all U.S.-linked ships were treated the same. Royal Caribbean's Spectrum of the Seas escaped the fee entirely. Why? Its sails under the Bahamian flag was built in Germany and carries mostly Chinese passengers. China deemed it part of its tourism economy. A perfect example of how these new rules can be both strict and selective. Meanwhile, companies scrambled to adapt. Some US-linked executives quietly resigned from boards to avoid the American ownership label. Others rerouted fleets or adjusted ownership stakes. Still, many couldn't escape. Mars Group's container ship Manuka was billed over $600,000 after docking in Ningbo, nearly half its entire charter cost. Now, here's a question. Do these trade measures actually work? Or do they just end up hurting businesses and consumers on both sides? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. Let's look at the fallout. US ports have taken a major hit. Before all this, in 2024 alone, around 14,000 Chinese vessels visited American ports, about 1 in 5 of all port calls. But after the new policies, visits from Chinese-built container ships collapsed. Oakland saw an 80% drop. Los Angeles, more than 70%. Total losses? Roughly $3 billion in just the first year. And that's not just corporate losses. Dock workers lose shifts. Truckers get fewer loads. Local businesses around ports struggle. It's a slow bleed that spreads far beyond the waterfront. China hasn't escaped unscathed either. After Washington's restrictions, U.S. import orders from China fell by over 20% in a single month, the steepest decline since the pandemic. Chinese shipyards saw orders vanish from Western clients. The share of international contracts going to Chinese builders fell from 15% to under 5%. Meanwhile, South Korea, Japan, and Europe stepped in to capture that business. So who's winning this fight? Honestly, no one. Governments may call it a strategic move, but in practice, it's the workers, companies, and everyday consumers who pay. Higher shipping costs push prices up, feed inflation, and disrupt jobs. A lose-lose scenario on both sides. And yet, beneath the tension lies a deeper reality: how fragile global trade really is. Modern economies depend on these sea lanes as the arteries of commerce. When two superpowers start using those arteries as leverage, everyone else feels the pressure. China, for its part, has been quietly adjusting strategy, diverting exports towards Southeast Asia, Europe, and Africa. Meanwhile, U.S. companies are trying to reduce dependence on Chinese manufacturing. But that's not an overnight fix. Global supply chains built over decades don't move easily. We're left with an uneasy balance, both sides absorbing losses, both claiming small wins while global trade slows. And this maritime standoff isn't just about ships or tariffs. It's about something much bigger. Who sets the rules of global commerce? For decades, those rules tilted toward the US. Now, China is asserting its own. The oceans, once neutral ground, are becoming another front in a wider geopolitical rivalry that touches everything from tech to tourism. History shows that trade wars rarely end cleanly. They evolve, drag on, and reshape economies in ways no one expects. But disruptions like this also spark innovation. New routes, new partnerships, new technologies. The shipping industry, despite all the turbulence, is resilient. It always finds a way to adapt. In the end, there are no real winners here, just mounting costs in jobs, profits, and trust. The longer these disputes last, the more they reveal how deeply interconnected we've all become. When two giants collide, the shockwaves hit everyone else. So as we watch this economic tug-of-war unfold, one thing's clear. The oceans may separate nations, but their trade connects them. And when that connection frays, we all feel the ripple. Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive insightful, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and of course, like the video. It really helps keep independent analysis like this going. I appreciate you staying till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.